Audi A4 The History of a Cult Car. The year 1994 was a breakthrough in the history of Audi. Brands like to announce that they are entering a new era at every opportunity. But this time, it really was. The V8 model has been replaced by the A8. The Audi 100C4 was renamed the A6. In turn, the Audi 80 has been replaced by a completely new model. This is how the A4 was created. The model was new, but the name only partially. The A4 was created on a completely new floor plate, the same one on which Passat was later based. It had a new, lighter design and modern multi-link suspension at the front. Its name has already been developed according to the new Audi logic, A plus digit indicating the class of the car. But the definition of the generation was taken from the 80 model. So we don't have Audi A4 B1, but B5, because before there were already 4 generations of 80. The most common A4 B5 variety on the road is the 1.9 TDI. It's hardly surprising because this diesel is durable, dynamic, and quite economical. However, there were other more interesting versions in the model range. Only one of them was based on diesel. I'll start with gasoline engines. The S4 debuted in 1997. The most powerful A4 had a different name, the letter A replaced with the sportier S. This was not the first S4 in Audi history. Such a powerful version of the 100 was previously named. Under the hood of the car worked a tuner 2.7 V6 bi-turbo engine valued today by tuners. It achieved 265 horsepower. However, did not have the largest capacity in the range. There were still 2.8 units. However, they were not topped up. The S4 had the Quattro standard drive and was available as a sedan and station wagon, Avant. From the outside, it was distinguished by slightly different bumpers and discrete emblems. A standard 6-speed manual gearbox was fitted as standard. For the first time, the Tiptronic automatic transmission also appeared as an option, which was interesting because of the manual shifting. You can't hide that the S4 was a very fast car. It reached 100 kilometers an hour in less than 6 seconds. Its top speed was limited to 250 kilometers an hour. It enjoyed the title of the fastest version in the range until 1999. Then the RS4 was introduced. Just like the distant predecessor, RS2, RS4 was offered only as a station wagon. Rather, it could not be confused with Avant version 1.9 TDI. The RS had not only other bumpers, but also strongly widened rear axle arches covering wider spaced tires. The engine remained the same as in the case of the S4, 2.7 V6 bi-turbo. Using the great potential of this motor, the designers made as much as 380 horsepower from it. The modified engine was manufactured at Cosworth's British plants. Such power allowed the RS4 to reach 100 kilometers an hour in just 4.9 seconds. In the fast station wagon category, Audi had no competition. Hardly anyone remembers the third interesting version of the B5. It's a pity, because it was groundbreaking and pioneering. As is often the case with pioneers, however, it did not succeed. I'm talking about the Audi Duo 3 from 1997, which was the first hybrid introduced on the market created by the European manufacturer. This car, based on the A4 Avant, had 2 engines. The first was a 1.9 TDI and 90 horse version. The second was electric and developed 29 horsepower. The driver had a button in the cabin to switch between engines. The maximum range in electric mode was 50 kilometers and the maximum speed was 80 kilometers an hour. The batteries were charged while driving but could also be recharged from the socket, so it was a plug-in hybrid. Unfortunately, the 1.9 TDI itself was economical enough that the additional engine did not change much in this matter. However, this model was extremely expensive. No one thought about exhaust emissions or additional taxes at the time. These were not hybrid times. Yet. The back of the B5 successor was drawn in the style of the then controversial A6. Interesting debut in B6 was, among others, Multitronic continuously variable transmission for front-wheel drive versions and FSI engines with direct injection. Currently, both of these solutions are an ideal way to solve problems with resale in the aftermarket. There was no RS4 in B6, however, the S4 itself was very strong. It was no longer 6 but 8 cylinders, no boost, and 4.2 liters of capacity. Its power was 344 horsepower. The performance was similar to the previous S4, 100 kilometers an hour in 5.6 seconds, but the B6 was heavier. From 2002, the convertible version could be ordered for the first time in A4. The A4 convertible had a soft, electric folding roof and 4 seats. At the news of this debut, fans of convertible Audis breathed a sigh of relief. Before 2000, they only had the old Audi cabriolets from the 1980s. This vehicle had a different cockpit, which appeared later in Seat Exio. It was available in both the naturally aspirated 1.6 and in the S4 version. Interestingly, despite the loud clatter, double audible in a convertible, the combination of open body and 1.9 TDI engine was quite popular. It was definitely the era of diesel for everything and everywhere. Finally, RS42 appeared in B7. The B7 generation was simply a B6 after facelift. Even the cockpit remained virtually unchanged. There were significant changes in the engine range. The 3-liter V6 engine was changed from 3.2-liter V6 FSI to the regret of LPG fans, and the diesel 2.5 was replaced with a 3-liter diesel from common rail instead of the injection pump. 2-liter diesels also appeared. As for the RS4, this time it appeared as a sedan, station wagon, and convertible. As in the previous and parallel S4, it had a naturally aspirated 4.2-liter engine. However, direct fuel injection was used here. The power was on paper 420 horsepower, but due to construction flaws, carbon deposits were deposited in the intake ducts. This meant that the cars did not maintain factory power. The result on the dynamometer was around 330 to 350 horsepower. This meant that, to this day, the otherwise unsophisticated RS4 of this generation continues to be considered a failed experiment, especially since it's the last RS4 with manual transmission. The successor did not have a convertible. This was because in the B8 generation, the sporty A5 model was isolated. He performed as a coupe, convertible, and 4-door coupe under the name Sportback. In the case of the A4, there was a station version of the station wagon, all-road. This time, the S4 had 6 cylinders again, the capacity was 3 liters, the use of mechanical recharging allowed for obtaining 333 horsepower. It's interesting that even the B6 model was more powerful. However, the B8 was faster. It reached 100 kilometers an hour in 5.1 seconds, and it was possible to choose a 6-speed manual transmission. 8-cylinder 4.2-liter was left in the RS4. The power increased from the previous 420 to 450 horsepower. This time, the manual transmission was a thing of the past. Only the 7-speed S-Tronic was available. Acceleration was 4.7 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. Ceramic brakes could be bought with this version, and there was no sedan. Only station wagon was available. If you wanted a coupe or convertible, you had to choose the RS5. The current A4 hit the market in 2015. Initially, you could buy them in version 1.4 TFSI, but now this engine is given way to a larger 2-liter without the same power. Changes were also made with the S4 model. First, it had a 3-liter gasoline engine with 354 horsepower, and now, after facelift, it'll have a 3-liter diesel for the first time ever. The RS4, again only as a combo, has a 2.9-liter V6 engine. It reaches 450 horsepower and accelerates to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.1 seconds. It is also extremely expensive. In the configurator, you can easily exceed €100,000. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe before you leave.